Friends, this is the one of the most asked business analyst interview questions. As a business analyst who have worked across a variety of industries and in different stages of projects, there are 8 business analyst techniques which have come to forefront time and time again. This session is outlining these popular techniques in terms of what their purpose is and why they seems to be popular in detail. Let's begin the session. You can turn on video caption for better understanding. The very first and most popular is the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis is an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, threat, and opportunities. It is an enterprise level analysis technique of assessing an organization against these 4 dimensions. It ultimately drives decision making for changes and improvements to an organization positions in the market. It is an important to note that the SWOT analysis in itself sounds simple, but each dimension, strength, weakness, threats, and opportunities, has its own set of techniques which can be applied to determine the outcome of each dimensions. So when is the SWOT analysis applied? The SWOT analysis is in the most case applied as an enterprise level analysis activity outside of the project environment. This means it can occur at any stage when an organization, department, or unit needs to be reassess their internal and external environment in order to reestablish directions and strategy. This business analyst technique can also be applied in other type of situation when it is important to assess a group, function, or even individual people against these dimensions. Why is the SWOT analysis so popular? The SWOT analysis is so popular because it is a simple technique to apply in either a quick and straightforward way or in an in-depth analysis of an organization or situation. It is therefore versatile as an analysis technique. It is also a technique which is applied across many different business areas and is not limited to being an exclusive business analysis technique. This means a lot of people are very familiar with what this technique means and hence makes this technique even more popular. The second in the list is requirements interviews. A lot of people will be very familiar with this business analysis technique. It is the activity of performing a structured interview where the business analyst questions, captures, interprets, and understands the intention of requirements requested by the interviewee for a particular solution. This business analysis technique again may seem very easy and informal, but is in the fact a specific skill for a business analyst to learn to master in order to be really effective during the interview itself. The requirements interview is typically applied during the early stage of a project when stakeholder requirements are being gathered, analyzed, and validated. Now, why it's so popular? The requirements interviews is so popular because it is a technique that can be applied by business analysts of all skill levels. It is also popular from a stakeholder engagement perspective because the business analyst builds rapport during the interview and hence form a direct relationship with this individual stakeholder being interviewed. This in turn creates a high stakeholder engagement level for the project and potential future support from that stakeholder. Although this business analyst technique can be time intensive, it has many soft benefits for the future business analysis activities on the project. The third technique is requirements workshops. Now, what are requirement workshops? Similarly to the requirements interviews, the purpose of the requirements workshop is to elicit requirements from business stakeholders about what they believe a new solution needs to be able to do in order to meet their needs. The difference here is that the requirement workshop involve a group of individuals at once and create a different type of requirements gathering exercise. There are many different approaches for conducting a requirement workshop, and the most important factor to consider when planning this type of business analyst technique is to consider the desired outcome and hence finding the audience who can provide this outcome to you. The requirements workshop is typically applied during the early stage of a project when stakeholder requirements are being gathered, analyzed, and validated. This business analyst technique is so popular because it offers a quicker result when the requirement interviews, because you are dealing with many stakeholders and their collective requirements all at once. This method takes more preparation than that of a requirement interview, but is also very popular because it allows for high quality requirements as a result of workshop attendees having to justify why they need a particular feature or requirement to be added to the requirements set. The next in the list is business process modeling. Now, business process modeling is a diagrammatic representation of the sequential workflow of information, processes, and decisions for a particular business process. There are different notation for business process modeling, of which the business process modeling notation BPMN and Unified Modeling Language UML activity diagrams is the most widely used notations for the business process modeling. There are many opportunities for a business analyst to apply this business analysis technique. Some of the most common times would be during the analysis phase of a project, when it is important to understand and analyze the current business processes and future business processes for a business area that project is concerned with. It is also very often used to support the implementation of a project and to assist ongoing procedural documentation for systems and business process changes. This is another example of a business analysis technique which is also used by other professionals for purposes not directly relating to the business analysis. This technique is so popular because of a variety of reasons. First, it is an easy and clear way to show how a business process should logically be executed by different roles within a business to perform a certain function. People often grasp a picture or visual representation of a large amount of information much faster than a sequential description of steps to be completed. This is why this business analysis technique is so often used to represent and explain complex steps and sequences of tasks that must be performed to achieve a certain business process outcome. Before we move on to next four techniques, please hit like. Your one like is a big motivation for us. And don't forget to subscribe for more business analyst interview questions and answer. Fifth in the list is use case modeling. In its most simplest form, the UML use case modeling technique is about illustrating the functions that a new system should be able to perform from a user interaction perspective. It is often used to show the main functions, actors, and interactions between the actors and use cases for a new system that is being designed. This is a powerful business analyst technique that is often used by business analysts to translate business requirements into functional specifications within the traditional software development project. From a business analyst technique perspective, this technique is applied during the detailed requirements specification and solution design stage of a project. It should be noted that the business analyst technique is primarily used with the software development types of technology project. The UML use case modeling technique is so popular because it is a visual way to depict the high level and lower levels at later stages of functionality that a new system will deliver. For a business analyst, it is not too technical to draw. It can be fairly easily understood by business stakeholders if required, and it is completely in line with software development teams' requirements for functional specifications. The next in the list is data modeling. This business analyst technique is about describing a requirement in terms of its data elements. Data modeling is used to describe entities, things, people, places, etc., of which data is to be captured and attribute for each entity to record. It then also visually illustrates how each entity relates to other entities by way of common attributes or combination of attributes. This is also referred to as entity relationship modeling. Data modeling is applied during the analysis and design stages of a project that requires updates to be made to how, what, and where is to be stored. This could be in context of software development, reporting development, or data analytics focused projects. Data modeling is probably, from a business analysis technique perspective, so popular because it is a definitive way to ensure that the data is captured by the front end of a system. It's also the data that will be represented on the reports for stakeholders. With data modeling, it is easy to show which data elements will be present in a solution and hence whether certain reports would be achievable as output. Database designer who uses this technique to design a database solution can apply this technique to a lower level of details and does this beyond the scope of a business analyst technique. However, from a business analyst technique perspective, it is a great technique to use to ensure reporting requirements are met by a proposed design. User stories is a fairly modern business analyst technique, which is a way to describe what a user wants in terms of how they will be using a system for their own purposes coming from a specific perspective. User stories are often supported by a specific personas, which are created to encourage the development of the full spectrum of user stories from all identified user types. User stories are mostly applied within the context of agile projects where an iterative requirements gathering, design, and build methodology is followed. This business analyst technique is so popular because it is an effective way to put the business analyst and other stakeholder who is responsible for developing the requirements for a new system in the shoes of the end user. This assists with developing relevantly and highly user-focused solution. The last in our list is non-functional requirement analysis. Now, what is non-functional requirement analysis? This business analyst technique is concerned with defining and capturing the requirements to describe the characteristics required for a new or changed system. Example of these types of characteristics would include performance requirements and data storage requirements. The non-functional requirement analysis technique is applied on every project where a technology solution is changed, replaced, or built from scratch. It is a typically an activity that starts during the analysis phase of a project and get refined and finalized during the design phase of a project. Out of all business analyst technique covered in this list, this is probably the only technique that is popular out of necessity. It is not a particularly easy or interesting business analyst technique to apply, but without this business analyst technique being applied, the system involved will most likely not be able to support the intended audience in an appropriate and sustainable way. So this business analyst technique is a necessarily evil and as they say, and Hans must be included in the list of the most popular technique to know. Friends, if you need this PDF, please like and subscribe and send subscriber screenshot to sunansharma@gmail.com. Friends is double R in Sharma. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. All the best for your next business analyst interview.